We're on.
Say January. Yeah. For the Nantucket Finance Committee. I'm gonna go around and, just a reminder, this is audio and video recorded. And I want to go around and just announce who everybody is first. So we've got Rob Giacchetti, Martin McCarrow, just say here.
Here.
Yeah. Joe for the minutes. Joe Wright.
Here. Here.
Peter Schaefer.
Here.
Online we have Anthony Goodman,
Here.
Jeremy Bloomer.
Here.
Huh?
I'm here.
Oh, I thought it was
Just didn't see it.
And
Jill, it's hard hearing you.
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm here for staff. We have Stephen Hunter and we have a lot of the town staff. We have Sue Carmel also from the finance office. We have quite a bit of staff for the town and we're going to get into that in just a second. Can I get an approval of the agenda?
Second.
Second.
Martin,
Aye.
Joe, Peter,
Aye.
Anthony,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
and Jill's and I. I'm gonna open this up for public comment. And I'm gonna close public comment. So today you will know that we're gonna review the 2027 budget for general fund and some enterprise funds. And we are going to start this with the town administration budget and just, if you all have you all have the list of what we're going down. Yeah?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It looks like somebody's trying to get in. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and open it up and we are just going to try and keep things moving and focus on sort of the new spending. But any questions you have? Just, I ask that you all try to go through the chair. I know it's easy that we forget, but. And we're not, so no staffs in person? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I know we're expecting someone to walk in. Okay, with that, we're starting with town admin and. Who's taking us through that?
I can take you through it, Jill. So,
Great, thank you. Thanks for being here.
you're welcome. I'm sorry I'm not in person. Several of us just got off a 1 o'clock meeting that went right until 2, so we didn't have time to get over there. So I think our focus for every department that's going to be going through this is the EIRs.
Yep.
Everything else, hopefully people have had a chance to look over and it's not, vastly different, I don't think, from prior years. So our expense increase requests are shown here. We have a communication office internship. So town admin has a couple of offices within it. Communications is one, real estate is another, project is a third. And the communication office internship is a program using an intern that is very instrumental in helping out with social media projects, messaging, development of graphics that are used for project issues or certain types of I don't know what to call this, messages that need to get out. Oh, Rick, do you want to?
No, we just said outreach. I was just outreach is what the word.
Outreach. Thank you. And the project manager position is an additional new position. We have a great need for project management resources in the town. We rely very heavily, too heavily, on expensive consultants to do our project management when we ought to be doing it internally. But a lot of our projects are so complicated and large that and also many of them, we just don't have the resources to manage it internally. So we added a project manager 2 years ago, Kevin Manuel. He is very active and has been very instrumental in getting a lot of things moved forward, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we are asking for another position of project manager. We have some operational expenses. One is a central facilities operational review. That is a one-time item. We have a lot of remote facilities and buildings, and most likely not even close to enough facilities staff within the facilities division of DPW. So we are seeking an operational review to help us establish what the correct amount of staffing is, to help us develop a facilities maintenance plan, and make sure that we have capital items for our buildings in a plan specific to our facilities. The office trailer lease, this is a big one. It's a one time, and Greg can, if Greg is on, he can help explain it a little bit. We've done quite a bit of cost analysis, costing of this. As you probably know, the office trailer you are in right now is not viable long term, and it is very heavily used. We are seeking an additional office trailer that would go most likely out at the two fairgrounds site. And it could be potentially for some meetings, but we're going to need to place office staff there for a couple of reasons. We are going, one of the projects underway right now is internal improvements, repairs, and upgrades to the 16 Broad building that I am in right now, and some others, as well as the 20 South Water building, which is where the sheriff currently is, and also the NRTA office. We need to get that space into a condition that we can move staff over there. And not so much 20 South Water, but 16 Broad is going to need some hazardous materials mitigation and remediation. And people are most likely not going to be able to be in the building when that is happening. They're going to have to move out for a period of time. And this includes the upstairs, the second floor of this building, which is comprised of mostly state offices, and the downstairs. So we're going to need a place to put these people. So we are thinking office trailer, and eventually, hopefully, the office trailer could also accommodate meetings. The office space lease, we have already leased some office space at 10 Airport Road. The housing department is going to be moving out there along with some other staff. And there is some meeting space out there. Until we can figure out how to develop a more effective voter-worthy plan for municipal office space, we're going to have to rent space. And we do have the beginnings of a plan that we need to get some project management help with, that the select board discussed at its strategic planning retreat in October. So there is some planning. It's quite a ways off though, and it's not going to be one large central municipal facility as was previously talked about. It will probably be campus-like with multiple buildings, but in the same proximity to each other, because that's important. And that's it for our budget. The other item is a capital item, which it's with Capcom right now.
Yeah, it is. I can even tell you how that turned out if you want to. Peter Schaefer has a question for you.
Thank you,
Libby.
Madam Chair. Libby, what's the size of the office trailer we're gonna lease? Is it similar to what we have now?
Greg, is Greg on? Greg, do you know?
Yes, I'm here, Libby. Oh, gotta turn my camera on. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Kevin Manuel, our project manager, did some research and he got quotes from 5 different firms that are willing to bring trailers to Nantucket. The trailer would be a little bigger. It would accommodate, depending on the configuration, up to 14 staff with bathrooms and small meeting space. So it's a little bigger. And the plot size that we were looking for is right adjacent to the 2FG building, right behind it going into the 2FG lot, kind of where we used to store boats. So it would take up that area.
Do we currently lease the trailer that we have, or do we own it?
We own it.
We own these.
Thank you.
Martin?
What is happening to this trailer?
That trailer will
Listed?
stay as is
Okay.
in place until we have.
No.
Yeah.
I was curious
It's not going
if they're losing meeting room, where the meeting rooms were gonna be.
Yeah.
What's your address, Martin? What's your address?
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody online? I can't see. Oh, Anthony has a question. Anthony, go
Yeah,
ahead.
Not so much a question, Madam Chair, as a comment. I'm hugely supportive of those two positions in the reviews that I did with some of the departments. The need for project management in the town is definitely a high priority, in my opinion. And I actually really appreciate that Louis puts forward the internships. I'd like to see actually the departments put forward ideas for internships as well. It's a great way to get very, very smart, cost-effective intelligence into play, and allows us to at least create opportunities for people to learn how town government actually works, different departments as well.
True, very true. I think they have the program for seniors who can do some internships in the town and other departments as well, which has been great. Okay, is that it for questions on this? Do you all want to know anything about the townwide document management system, or we can go through that? We do the capital report.
Fine by me.
I'm interested.
Okay. All right, next up, Stephen,
The housing.
going to the housing.
Is Christie there? Yes, I believe so. Dylan's on, yes, Dylan and Christie are online.
Hi,
Great.
thank you.
Go ahead,
So
Chrissy. Thank you.
the housing department has a few EIRs and new positions. Just gonna let this pull up on the screen. So the position that we have requested is an additional rental property manager. This is to supplement our current rental property manager, Rachel Field, to handle all of our ongoing maintenance and management of municipal employee housing. In terms of EIRs for operating expenses, we have two. We have an increase in our employee housing budget line item, and what this is our line item where the town reserves leases for year-round housing, and then we license that out to our employees. We also use this for short-term commuting employees, and sometimes we have vacancies where we're covering perhaps the utilities or something for a month. So we've seen this cost go up for FY27, so we have that included. And then our second expense increase request was for the maintenance and utilities for 19 Waite Drive. This storm was completed in June of 2025, and this will be an ongoing utilities expense for the housing department to cover the operation of this year round. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Joe Wright.
Christie, it's Joe. Can you talk a bit about the professional services line? It's the largest item in the budget. And it's growing quickly, and I think a lot of it is related to the Nantucket Housing Trust.
So, yes, thank you. So the professional services is a line for that we use for consulting, and we previously had legal in there, which we're separating out now. We use that for services to evaluate properties, such as engineering or any sort of due diligence. And so we've used our consultants to help us assess different projects and priorities around both the housing department and the Affordable Housing Trust.
So really that covered both, right? Do you know how much of that was legal?
It was about 41,000,
Okay.
and that's now split out.
It also covers, Madam Chair, everything is rolled up. So professional services is also where all the money that they were asking for the additional 132,000 for leases goes. We don't list everything in here, but the money for the leases that the town procures is put through here with an offset for any monies received from the employees that they're licensed to. So it's all melded into this professional services line. And Joe, the transfer that you're talking to relative to Affordable Housing Trust is one line up.
That's the big item.
Yeah. And I would note too with Christie's, the request in housing of the rental property manager position, as discussed with the board when town administration made the presentation, we would be splitting the full cost of that with the Affordable Housing Trust. So the actual amount in the general fund budget would be half of that cost in the EIR.
Thank you. That's all.
Is it, can I ask, Madam
Peter
Chair,
Schaefer.
can I ask a question? Libby, are you still on? No, maybe Rick would know. What
Yes,
percent-
I am.
Oh, there she is. Oh, hi. Libby, what percent of jobs that open up for town positions end up being chess, somebody moving from a current job to the new job? So leaving an open job ultimately.
Me internally, like from one position to another.
Yeah.
Is Amanda on? Our HR director
Yes.
could probably answer that.
Yeah, we have a good amount of transfers from interdepartments. I don't have the exact number for you, but there is a high amount of internal transfers with administrative roles, less with our technical and specialty positions.
Okay, thank you.
So Christy, my question for you is, could you just outline for us, how many employees that you have and then how many you had, like, I think we know there's been a progression of more employees in recent years. And if you could just walk us through that.
Of
I
course.
feel like when you started, it was just Tucker and then it was you and, you've grown, so.
Yes. So the housing department now has myself as the housing director. We have Dylan Metchin-Pell as our deputy housing director. And then we have support staff administrative specialist and the rental property manager. What I like to explain is that our department really has two hats. One, we're the support staff for the Affordable Housing Trust and working to create community housing opportunities and working with partners and nonprofits around the island. The other hat is working on municipal employee housing, and that's where the rental property manager, myself, work on ways to expand options for year-round housing for our staff. Like every other business on Nantucket, the only way that we can be successful in recruiting and retaining employees is through providing housing. So we have seen the growth in the number of projects and initiatives that are falling under the housing department, and that has led to an increase in the staff to help execute those projects.
Okay. But in this budget, you want to hire an additional rental property manager?
Correct. So we
So that'd be
currently,
a person in the housing office total?
correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we've seen our housing stock grow since 2023 when we first started renting properties. We now have 44 properties and now 2 seasonal dorms. Mostly used in the season. They are also used in the off season as well. And so just the management of all of that, the administration, the maintenance, everything that goes into all of the requests from employees, we've just realized that the staff needs are more than one person.
Yeah. So and then on the maintenance front, do you use another company to actually do the maintenance?
It's a little bit of both. We have we actually had an RFQ out recently for a caretaking contract, and they'll go around and check properties, and we'll report things to them. Over this past year, we have utilized the DPW to help us and fix things that they're able to, or we're relying on other companies to come in and do that work for us.
Yeah. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Oh, Christy, you're pretty busy right now with specific projects that you're working on.
Yes. The housing office, like I said, we manage both the municipal employee housing and the Affordable Housing Trust. So while we're working on projects like in front of capital programs, we're trying to create new housing units for our municipal staff, and at the same time working with private developers on creating new affordable and attainable housing solutions. Where I wear the dual hat is a lot of times in those negotiations with private developers is requesting a municipal preference so that whatever they build or create could possibly be designated to municipal employees. So we always have kind of one foot in the fire trying to get something started and then see what our next opportunity will be.
Okay, and then on the capital item, again, that'll get addressed in the capital report. We now get that hopefully soon. Okay, next. Thanks, Christy.
Finance.
Are you gonna do that, Stephen, or
No,
Brian?
No, I'm going to start, Madam Chair, and then I have Sue and Mindy that will talk about some of the ERs as well. But I was going to start
You
by,
don't sound like you, Brian.
I know. Well, thank you. I don't feel
Sorry.
like me right now either, but
Oh.
so Finance Department, just so the Finance Committee knows, in May of last year, we did a reorganization, realizing that there was a lot going on. And so we appointed Sue and Mindy as deputy finance directors, with Susan Carmel being responsible for the accounting side and assessing and capital and finance and budget operations as well. And Mindy Ernst Fournier being responsible for the treasury side, payroll, and for the collectors and procurement. We asked for 2 additional operational staff, the expectation that one would be an accounting clerk on the accounting side, and then one on the treasury, payroll, procurement side. I think it's a little bit still to be determined what the exact roles would be, because the finance department has a procurement out for an operational review. We do these quite frequently, as the town administration have put one for next year in their EIRs. And so we're going to be undertaking one with a report due back before June. And I think that with that report, it'll give us a lens into where we need the additional staff the most and what that would look like. So right now we are asking for 2 operational staff. We're not committed to where they're going, what part of the finance team that they would be joining, pending the recommendations from the operational review that we're going to be undertaking. I'm going to let Mindy and Sue take you through the expenses, because those are directly resulting in impacts in both of the operations that they're responsible for. And we did not have any capital items this year, Madam Chair.
I thought the software program.
We are deferring that, and we're going to wait possibly to put it in next year. But I think we decided when we made the decision, Madam Chair, to do this operational review, that was an awful lot. And to potentially implement recommendations in the new fiscal year would be a lot. So we agreed with town administration to take that out at this point, subject to bringing it back at a time that makes more sense.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that, and that did get ranked, but that's great. Thank you. I think Anthony has a question for you, Brian.
Madam Chair, through the chair. Brian, just quick one on those 2 positions, 2 finance operational staff, 162,000. That seems like an awfully low average salary. Could you talk a little bit to the sort of level, or are these real entry level people that you're bringing in?
They typically when we're hiring for these types of positions, Anthony, in Nantucket, we do get a lot of people with not a lot of municipal experience. So that would be, I believe that they were coded as S2s, and so that calculation was based on a 40-hour work week at that level. But we do typically get many people that are starting their career or transitioning from something else into municipal finance with not a lot of experience directly in municipal finance. Yes.
Super. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Okay.
moving on to the expenses, the printing and tax title filing cost. This is a one-time request for $30,000. We'll be asking the voters at the annual town meeting to accept a tax title revolving fund, which we have not done here on Nantucket. It's to accept Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 15B. And what that does, tax title is the process that we have to take to put a lien on somebody's property when they have delinquent real estate taxes. So there's costs associated with that. We have to file liens, we have to post notices on the property. And then if they remain unpaid, our recourse is to do collection attempts, and then ultimately would be foreclosure. So what this would do is put some money into the tax title revolving account. We can spend out of that account, and any fees collected from these type of fees that we're paying out can go back into that account. So it should sustain itself after the first year.
Okay,
And-
makes sense.
Okay, sorry. Mindy, do you want me to go right in order, or do you want to do your other two? Okay. So the next one, in-state travel, is an ongoing request of $11,500. Our budget for in-state travel has been $3,500 for many years, and we're trying to bring this more in line with the actuals. The 3-year actuals have been $20,000 is our 3-year average. So we're bringing the budget up to $15,000. And what this mostly, on top of conferences for in professional development, we have 4 employees over the past, I believe, 2 years. There's 4 that are hybrid remote. So a lot of the increase in the expenses in this line is come from having staff that are hybrid employees.
Mailing costs for tax bills. This account has also been over budget for the last couple of years, averaging 55,000. So this 10,000 will bring it up to 60,000 with the anticipation of another postage increase this year.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from
Well-
anyone? I can't see. Oh. Good. Okay. We're gonna move on. Thank you, Finance Department. And I guess we're gonna hear from
Amanda in HR.
Amanda and HR. Thanks, Steve.
Good afternoon. Amanda Perry, HR Director.
Hello.
I just have one EIR. And actually, you mentioned internships earlier. We are expanding our internship program. We launched this in fiscal 26. We had about 14 interns that we hired over the summer season, and they staffed our health department, real estate office, town admin, communications, finance, IT, and housing. We also had 2 sewer interns through a university affiliation. It was a very successful program, and we would like to continue it and also expand it in fiscal 27. It's been very successful, and hopefully those interns will come back in the next summer season or return for full-time employment in future years.
Perfect. Peter Schaefer has
Yeah.
a question for you.
Just one quick question. What are we paying the university interns?
We pay them the hourly rate per Article 7. I think it's Schedule B. It's roughly $22 or $23, I think, starting out. We have a table that's approved at town meeting, and that's what we would pay them.
That's pretty low compared to co-ops throughout the country, I think.
We also offered housing.
Oh, okay, that makes a big difference, yeah.
Yeah, they
Okay.
did still pay for housing. It wasn't free. We charged the same rate we would for the lifeguard CSO program.
Like
But we
$100 a
did
month. Yeah.
provide housing for them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Martin?
How many of the interns you take are actually island residents and how many are off island?
We hired several off-island candidates. However, we secured housing for them. But also, actually, some of the interns that came from off-island have island ties. So maybe they were going to university off-island, but then needed housing to come back to the island. So I would say all of them had a tie to Nantucket, but whether they lived here year-round or not is hard to put a number to, if that
Thank
makes
you.
sense.
Thank you. That sounds like fun.
With housing, yeah.
That'd be too much fun.
Nice beaches.
Just the white elephant.
Just one other point, at the end of the program, in late August, we had all the interns present to cabinet the work that they had done. And it was really, really great to see them all, present in front of a group and share their projects from the summer. So very successful.
That's great, Amanda. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions online, Jeremy or Anthony? No?
One quick one.
One more
What
quick-
percent of the interns do we end up hiring on full-time jobs when they graduate?
Right now, we haven't hired any, but we've had them apply for jobs. So we might have a few that we actually will hire in this year for vacancies that we've posted.
You know, at Drexel and Northeastern, which are the two biggest co-op schools in the country, 60% of their interns get offered jobs.
The Northeastern students we had at Sewer, we really wanted to retain, but they had commitments to continue their education. But maybe they'll come back to us when they're
Yeah.
done.
Thanks.
Terrific. Okay, I think we're gonna move on. Thank you, Amanda. Appreciate it. I think we're gonna move on to IT.
Hello.
Is Mike gonna come on?
Yes.
Hi,
Yes,
Mike.
hi, I'm here.
Nice
Madam
to
Chair,
see
I'm
you.
doing well, thank you. Mike Alvarez, Chief Technology Officer. Just to I'll get through these pretty quickly. Our operational expenses, one, we're asking for a new GIS plotter. This is a one-time cost. The previous GIS plotter, I think it will be 10 years this year since we've had it, so it's something we need. This is what prints out all the maps you see at town meeting that are hung up in the main hall and so on, as well as other tasks that are printed out by GIS throughout the year. We also have a one-time cost for an IT assessment. The last IT assessment was done in 2016. It's been 10 years. And so we'd like to get a new one down, get us a good plan, chart a course for the next 10 years. And then lastly, just our annual increase for licensing and support increases is about 5% year over year, give or take. Just for expanded costs to stuff like Microsoft, Intune, Enterprise, Office 365, Adobe, all the licensing stuff. Our biggest costs is usually Tyler Technologies and Microsoft, so it's Munis and Office, Word, the stuff we use day to day.
Yeah. And some of those things have changed and expanded and you've had to add more users, right? I mean, doesn't that cost?
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Madam
Anthony
Chair-
has a question for you, Mike.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, if I may, Mike, quick one from our discussion. We talked about the increase, the large increase in your operating expenses, so operating in the professional services line. Would you mind just expanding a little bit on the professional services as well, please?
Sure. So we have like I mentioned, the largest chunk of this is the licensing, like I mentioned, for stuff like Munis, which is our town's financial software, Energov, which is the town's permitting software, Office 365, which is more than just Word and Excel and Outlook. It's all the back end. It's the SharePoint, Teams. It's all the cloud services that we have in that, as well as our backups through Barracuda. So not only do we have several devices that are doing backups on site, we also have cloud backups. All that costs money year over year. Is that
okay, thank you. And then just adding into that, what other opportunities? I'm just thinking about the different types of software, different platforms and pieces that we have here. What I'm missing a little bit is what might you expect expense-wise in terms of further consolidation of different systems on island?
Sure. So one of the things that that we're looking into, as certainly the town is growing, the town operations, are growing, but also some opportunities to potentially consolidate. These are, conversations we need to have, say, with the airport committee and consolidating some of the airport public safety and consolidating some of public safety's back end, and essentially, making sure we're getting a fair contract that really covers everything on the island and covers all our services, and more importantly, so that no one segment is lagging behind another, especially should there ever be any sort of disaster recovery that we have to perform.
I appreciate it. And then that $100,000 expense on the one-time IT assessment, what do we hope to get out of that?
Sure. So the last IT assessment we did is what created the Chief Technology Officer position, as well as a couple other expansions to town IT. It's sort of guided our last 10 years of growth in the on the island via technology. Certainly, when it came to adopting more cloud services and software, moving in general to the cloud. That's, it's everything from backups and so on. We're an island 30 miles out at sea. Should anything happen to us, our data is safe and secure. So that's, that's a primary goal. And that's something that was, said about in that initial assessment. What I'm hoping to gain out of this next assessment is further instruction and advancement of the CTO role as it comes to the town and county roles. As I mentioned before, whether it be, through you guys helping with budgeting stuff, IT concerns at schools, airport, public safety, and so on. We already do quite a bit with water and sewer and our enterprise funds. So this is something that we've already absorbed, and there's more growth to absorb and consolidate some of that stuff. This isn't to completely, I only have a small crew. We're not looking to micromanage everything. This is purely, when it comes to, budgeting and just sort of general oversight and making sure we're all on the same level, specifically when it comes to cybersecurity and disaster recovery.
Yeah, two super important topics these days. You see it everywhere. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks. That's helpful.
So Mike, do you think that we'll be getting this is Jill, sorry.
Yep.
Do you think that we'll be getting some good advice about how to handle cybersecurity with public meetings and some of the?
So yeah. So, if you're talking about Zoom bombing, I'd be more than glad to have a conversation after the meeting with you guys. We're very aware of those types of threats, and ultimately, a lot of those things come down to it's not the software, it's not the platforms we're necessarily using, it's human security and making sure that staff have the tools and the training to be able to identify these types of things early on. That is applicable across not only Zoom meetings but also email and just general cybersecurity, which we do plenty of training on, as well as other secure, other ways we can secure just not only our networks, but our facilities and so on.
Yeah, well, hopefully everybody on our committee's done their cybersecurity training too, so.
I didn't pull up the stats because I didn't want to embarrass anybody, so I'm just going to assume you guys are all on time.
Well, now they know that Mike, that maybe.
Oh, I know. I see it every day, so. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Mike. Rob Giacchetti has a question for you, Mike.
Maybe more of a Brian question, but why are we putting software as a service licenses under professional services? And are there real professional services as well?
As to the why, I'll let Brian or someone from finance answer that. But as to the other real professional services, yes, we have a couple of network vendors that we work with. There's in fact 2 that we're working with right now this week and through the next couple of weeks as we upgrade. We've already upgraded our network infrastructure. We're now upgrading our virtual server environment. And so that requires work with Winslow Technologies and LCN, 2 in-state vendors. And we're working on more for our we just procured our cybersecurity penetration testing for the entire county, which includes airports, schools, and public safety as well.
I think Rob, did you ask the question?
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
we
Yeah,
do
we
professional services.
have
We get to
historically
see
done
the
it that way,
difference.
but we're going to likely, given some recent GASB pronouncements in terms of handling long-term software agreements, we are likely going to be breaking those out to be able to better identify those to be in compliance with various GASB pronouncements related to that software as a service.
So when would that go into effect?
Well,
Like,
we'll have to do it for July 1st of so
okay.
when this budget is approved after ATM, we will create the new accounts for July 1st for the new FY27 budget and do it. Right now, we've been able to pull them out easy and identify them, but that is going to become more difficult in terms of compliance with GASB. I think it's GASB 87. So we will be doing that for this upcoming budget cycle.
Thank you. Sounds good.
All right, anybody else? Mike, thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
All right, we're cruising along. Natural resources. Is Jeff on?
Yes, he is.
Fantastic.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Jeff.
How's it going?
Go back to the pictures.
All
I
right.
know those too. All right, Jeff. Take
I
it
do
away.
apologize for not trotting all the way next door, but I was in that meeting that ended right at 2 and didn't want to disrupt the flow of what's going on there. So Real simply for us, we only have one EIR this year. We're asking for a $10,000 increase in our in-state travel. I know we discussed it in my office yesterday with a couple of members, but we're focusing very hard on trying to get every one of our full-time staff to participate in at least one training or conference or professional endeavor off island, just to kind of stay abreast with what's going on in the world of resiliency and habitat management and hatcheries, and also make some valuable connections. And for us, that's it. And then the rest of our items that we have forward are all capital items. We've transitioned into being pretty project heavy here at NRD. And I'm happy to take questions on those, but I know we've discussed those at capital as well, so I don't want to waste anyone's time.
No, I think we'll probably just talk about some of those when we present the capital report to the committee, but Jeff, my question for you, and I've asked this at capital, but just for the benefit of everyone else, is do you have a lot of capital projects in recent years? And you have a lot more this year, and I just, do you think you have enough staff to manage them?
Currently, I do. It's something that we take a lot into account, where we try to, kind of gauge everyone's bandwidth for projects in and out. And as we wrap up and we try to cycle some of these projects, we want to make sure that folks aren't overloaded or projects get lost in the weeds. So just as a good example for us, the capital item number 5 there, the Sacajawea Pond groundwater mapping and nutrient loading study. We're about to conclude the one on Nantucket Harbor this year, and we'll wrap up before the end of the fiscal year that's closing in June. And if this one's approved, we'd be starting that next one on the next water body after July. So one goes out, one comes in, and we try to cycle those, so we're doing one kind of every 2 to 2.5 years, depending on how long that takes for field data. So we do focus on that quite a bit, just to make sure that we're not overloaded. Trust me, if I felt like we didn't have capacity, I either wouldn't put it forward, or an EIR would be in for more personnel. We're lucky that I have 4 or 5 interns in the summer that help out with a lot of our staff, and some of our more managerial positions have taken on greater project management and have been working towards doing some trainings in project management. So that's something we're focused on, because we have been doing a lot of it, but I think we are well equipped to deal with all of our projects.
Okay, that's great. Anybody else have any questions for Mr. Cross?
Not a question, Madam Chair, but if I may just
please do.
I like your question regarding do they have enough staff to manage these pieces? We had a very constructive discussion with Mr. Carlson yesterday on that topic. I would agree that when Capcom talks about this, going forward, the number of projects and pieces they're doing, this is my earlier reference about Libby's need to think about having professional project management in place. I do think we should take a look overall. This would be an area where I would say that with what they have on hand, plus what they're currently doing, this is an extraordinarily busy department. I see from our view on this one, just looking at the projects that they work on, a lot of very busy people. There are a lot of big things coming our way on Nantucket. And so having at least an idea open that we may need to add some staff along the way here, or at least something in terms of a special project management focus, actually might be beneficial overall.
Excellent. I agree. They have a lot. And just so everybody knows, I mean, everyone that comes to Capitol has to, talk about what it is they want to do. And Jeff has provided a lot of information that we requested this year, a lot of detailed information. And we're really appreciative for that time. So I feel like everything was thoroughly vetted.
Madam Chair, could I really quickly
provide
some kind of set? So I know it came up during the town administration EIRs. That extra project manager position that was addressed there was something that addressed this very concern, where I had relayed some concerns about, especially related to all of the resiliency projects. And we kind of through discussions and Greg Tivenin and I, and then obviously the town manager, kind of discussed it out and thought that a position to be able to help facilitate some of those larger resiliency projects was more appropriate in that office. And I think that's why that came forward. So that position is to help us as well as other departments, but that was kind of a need that we did see, but it was addressed in a different managerial fashion.
I see. There are a lot of projects on that list.
Yeah, and resiliency is one of those tangled webs where it's not just a simple natural resources or sewer. It's kind of uber alter, interdisciplinary. So we kind of touch them all. So we want to make sure that there's a good central hub to that wheel.
Yeah, when you have a dynamic committee who's looking at different things, and so that changes a little bit for you.
Crack has been very helpful for us.
Yeah, good. Jeremy, you have a question?
I did. Thank you, Jill. Jeff, what makes the money go through a capital item as opposed to a budget? Is it the number of years you're going to spend that money?
So typically our instructions, any purchase for us, and especially these project-based that are over $50,000, we put through capital program. And that's just determined through the budget instructions that we receive from the town manager and finance office.
Yeah, Jeremy, just so these capital items haven't been approved yet, right?
No, I understand that. I was more curious on the process.
So personally, I'll say from my view, and Brian and Libby can certainly correct me when I get off the rails here a little bit. I think for these projects, especially some of these larger projects, having it through capital and providing an additional review step from just, our project genesis to when it gets to you guys through the capital report, I think provides an extra important secondary vetting that gets through. And it's also, the budgets are complicated and these projects, can be a lot. And I won't speak for Jill, but I can't imagine how many capital requests came in this year for number to review. And to try to do that with general fund budgeting, I think would be a Herculean task. And I think it provides a really nice vetting way to get through those.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah. Jeff, just one more comment. I think that number isn't right on the fertilizer. Not positive, but
I'll double check. I know when we did our budget stories, it was before we had come in to visit you. So I'll get that corrected with Stephen.
Oh, okay, thanks. Just in case somebody asks, you never know, Martin.
I hate to back this up. And as a newbie, I may be off base here. So we get $1 million coming up for resiliency in 2027. I understand the long-term budget for that item is $980 million, but it was something like that. So how does this number feed into the prospect of $980 million worth of longer-term projects?
Well, I'll answer the first part, Jeff, and then if you want to jump in, I'm sure Brian will jump in. So the $1 million, the way I see it in just my very basic understanding, the $1 million is really kind of they're studying and researching and looking at a variety of projects. And then the CRAC committee, which has the best name on the island, the CRAC committee, they are going to identify what that priority list is. And I think from there, then they want to put forward a series of projects and we have to see what they are. So on the list that Brian has, which he calls the collision list, there's a lot of
I understand that
projects,
I understand.
Right? And I think the CRAC committee, along with Jeff and the town manager and Brian, have to decide which ones they think are the priority and put away. So I think that's gonna really be $4 or $5 million. I mean, I don't know, but I think that's about how much it is on that list, isn't it, Jeff? 400 million or something?
Yeah, and the $1 million, we also use it for things like providing match to grants when we apply, to have that money in hand. We try to use that money as efficiently as possible, and then the larger projects, once they've spun out of that design or permitting phase, or if it's more of a outreach program to get people engaged, it will come from there. Those smaller projects is I guess, we do have one above on the capital item above. We break those projects out separate as larger capital requests. So like the wastewater treatment facility design that's listed as number 1 there is a resiliency request, but as it's moving into an individually identified larger project, they get done separately. But usually like the basic conceptings and the preliminary design and research that goes with those comes out of that general coastal resiliency $1 million.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Isn't it possible that Mother Nature will decide when some of these things have to happen?
Absolutely.
I think it is deciding in some places, sure.
It's my understanding that much of that information is actually in hand. They're between the coastal studies and work they've done on tidal levels and water levels here, and weather conditions, much of that level has actually been designated for, I forgot, I just had a presentation on this, but they got up to 50 years what it's gonna look like.
Yeah, the crack committee's done a lot of work. I think again, now it's about how they wanna deploy. Yeah, what project do they want to ask?
Just a side effect, I was pretty impressed by the planning that was involved for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's a lot. Thanks, Jeff.
Anytime. Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye. Next up, Plus, is Leslie on or Megan maybe?
I am. I'm here. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for inviting us. So ours is really simple. We just have one expense increase request to add a new position. This is a full-time local building inspector. Currently, just so you all know, we have a full-time building commissioner, one full-time local, a part-time local who primarily performs zoning inspections and enforcement, and then we have one on-call person that does what's called certificate of inspections for places of public assembly, restaurants, hotels, schools, that type of thing. So this new position would be dedicated primarily to short-term rental inspections under the 10th edition of the State Building Code, which was recently enacted. The building inspector is responsible for performing inspections similar to the inspections that are performed for restaurants and places of public assembly. So the last time I checked with the health department, there are about 1,350 registered short-term rentals. And with our current building staff, we don't have the resources to perform those, and we are required to do that when requested by the property owner.
Okay. Okay. Anybody, and you have no capital items. I don't think I've ever seen a capital item from the Plus office now that I think about it. I can't think of anything.
We work with the DPW on transportation projects, and that's handled through the DPW.
Yeah, I just can't think of anything like unique to you about that. Cars, lots of cars.
Yeah, sure.
Any questions? Okay, thanks, Leslie.
All
That was
right, thank
fast.
you. Have a good
Appreciate
day.
it. You too. All right, is Miss Nancy Holmes on?
She is.
Great, or Laura, or whoever's available. We're gonna. Am I doing that time? Okay. Okay, do more and then we can, yeah. Is Nancy up?
She is here. She unmuted. Nancy?
I don't know, I don't see her.
She is here. I don't know if she's having issues technically.
Okay, Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
Do we want to just move on to that and then?
Yeah, we can bounce back.
Yeah.
Rocky, are you good?
I'm on. Good afternoon, Rocky Maramontes for Health and Human Services. We have 0 positions requested, 0 capital items, and we have 2 EIRs. The first of which I'll go over is the $15,000 request for food and housing inspection software. So this is relevant software. So we were able to pilot the use of this product last fiscal year in 25. It was developed by a subject matter expert in housing and food inspections that has a long career in Massachusetts, and it was funded last fiscal year through a public health excellence grant or the sharing of a grant, which is no longer available. And when we were able to pilot it, we found that it saved 2 to 3 hours really on each inspection for food and housing that was done. And with 625 inspections done in fiscal year 25, 157 lodging inspections, and 113 housing inspections, it saved a considerable amount of time in inspector time and overall cost. The software was fully vetted by Nantucket IT, and we expect this to be a one-time request because the state is developing a software called Metric that we anticipate will be deployed in fiscal year 28 that we will be able to we have to utilize. So that is one EIR. The other is 35,000 for BioBot Analytics. This is our wastewater surveillance project that we began last year with funds from strategic planning funds. It is enabled us to monitor for increases in influenza, RSV, and COVID-19. The COVID is actually a carryover that's been done here on island since at least 2022, but we've expanded that to add the flu, RSV, and also harmful substances, including cocaine, meth, and some of the opioids that are prescribed. And with that data, we've been able to quickly notify partners locally for the infectious conditions, the hospital and their providers there to give them a heads up as to what we are observing so that they can respond accordingly and doing the same with the harmful substances data.
I have a question on that.
Go ahead.
It's Jeremy Bloomer. Oh, sorry, Jill. I lost my raise the hand thing in the software. Sorry about
That's
that.
okay. Go ahead.
Hope you
So
find it.
you can do all of that diagnostic testing for only $35,000 a year?
Yeah, that's correct. So this is wastewater testing. So it's concentrations. So fortunately, we had the infrastructure in place already with the COVID-19, which is paid for by the state. And it was just a matter of collecting a couple of additional bottles of water and sending it up as part of our normal routine. The cost was really minimal. They do it for over 100 local jurisdictions nationwide. So we're able to also get and compare our results with regional data as well as national data. And we put that data, some of that data is online already. One in particular.
That was my next question was,
yeah,
I remember during COVID, it was people would look at it every week and you could find it. Where do you publish this so everybody can actually see it?
It's on the Health and Human Services website. So if you went there, you would see something that says wastewater surveillance. You click on it, and there is a Power BI dashboard that we update on a weekly basis as we get that data in, because that's how often this sampling is done. So, for instance, we saw a big spike starting on December 11th, and although there hadn't been anecdotes, at least too many at that point, as to people being ill with the flu, that's quickly changed. So this was really what enabled us to anticipate as a community what was coming and for the healthcare providers to prepare.
Got it. Now, if I could just, on the diagnostics, then my next set of questions are all around PFAS. And I was wondering how much you anticipate spending on that technology, and what technology are we actually using, and how much is each of those tests?
Well, PFAS testing is done currently in partnership with Barnstable County. So all anybody with a private well on the island, obviously a public well is done separately, but anybody with a private well on the island works with us. So we coordinate transferring that water over. Those results come in whenever they are elevated. We share that with the they get the owner of the well gets the data as well, but we share it with them. And we talk to them, and certainly if there's increases, we talk about mitigation strategies, whether that be filtering or some other activity. In addition, if it's very high, the state gets involved and comes and does additional testing. So that's how PFAS is handled at this point.
And how much are we spending on such testing?
Well, that's a separate, I don't know if Greg's on, has that,
Or is that a totally separate department?
it's been funded, I think through town admin, but we do have the environmental contamination administrator, in Health and Human Services, and him and I work pretty closely with Greg Tibden, Chuck Larson, and others, to provide a kind of a holistic, response to, PFAS, levels on the island. And I think that, there's been, we've been one of the more proactive, in really, I think that certainly the state and even the country, and even having received, at the town level awards for, that work that we've done, to really be proactive. Recently, we tested, the water with the help of a contractor through, our swimming, beaches. And looked into that, and that really hadn't been something that other communities aren't doing. We looked at foam, we looked at water, and we were able to provide additional, recommendations based on those results.
That's great. So qualitatively, we're ahead of the curve, but quantitatively, I would be most curious how much we're actually spending in total.
Yeah, and I can only speak for what comes out of our budget on the Health Human Services, and that is the work, done by our, environmental contamination administrator. Obviously, we spend a small amount of money for, transporting the water samples, across, into Barnstable County, but the actual testing is paid for by the individual well owners.
Yeah, they did have a grant for like $2.5 million, not a grant, I'm sorry, a capital item for $2.5 million, and I think
I
Jeremy,
remember
not
last
all,
year. Yeah.
Try again.
yeah, not all that
Can you hear
money
me
has
now?
been spent.
Yes, Nancy.
Yeah, just a minute, Nancy. So not all that money has been spent, but he worked really closely with the sewer department to start doing more testing out there as well. So they've had like conferences here to talk about all the different.
That was the purification.
I think she could, because Jill just said just a minute, Nancy, so
Yes.
So I think there's still funding in that capital item.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I would, maybe Brian could just get what the town globally is spending on this, because I just want to know if in fact the
It is for
expense
different
numbers are
departments.
going
It
to,
can be a little bit confusing.
yeah, but I'm asking the question to understand if this expense of testing, which is necessary, is going to explode on us. And I just want to get a handle on that. And then in the, Jill, also in the HHS, I was just curious with the size of the community fund that I think Jericho's in charge of. How much are we, does that go through this budget or is it separate?
It is separate, and I believe the numbers are around 800,000.
That's what they have been about every year.
Yeah,
But that's not within this budget. That's separate.
that's correct.
Okay. Anyone else? Great. Then we'll go back. It looks like, thank you, Rocky. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I had to be like one of the lowest EIRs. Way to go. Congratulations.
Everybody else pay for it. That's it.
Nancy, are you on?
I am on. Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that. Jeremy was on the phone helping take care of me. Yes, so I just have these two expense increase requests. One-time increased election expense of $12,500 because this upcoming fiscal year will have 2 state elections in it, and I felt the amount budgeted wasn't enough to cover all the elections that the upcoming fiscal year will bring. And then the second expense increase request is for increase in town meeting costs of $50,000. And this is due to our ongoing costs in IT services for town meeting, our electronic handheld voting devices, and our NCTV.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I have for this year. If anybody has any questions.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, very straightforward. Anyone?
Thank you.
I can't think of any
Thank
capital
you.
requests for the clerk's office ever either.
Not yet, not yet.
Maybe you'll come for a big vault one day or something like that.
Yeah, we're pretty good on the vaults, actually. We're pretty lucky, but we'll see how that goes when they have to do the mitigation in their office, but I think that's a bit away, so.
Thanks, Nancy.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank you
it.
for your time. Sorry about the problem earlier. Thank
No,
you.
it's okay. Okay, we're gonna keep moving along and we're gonna go to DPW. Is Drew on?
Yes, please.
All right, Drew, take it away.
Yeah, hi guys. Drew Patno, DPW Director. Thanks for having us here to present our FY27 budget. I guess we'll start. Are we just doing the EIRs?
Yep.
Okay. I guess first I just wanted to highlight and kind of remind folks that from FY25 to FY26, our operating budgets collectively for all 6 or 5 divisions under the DPW, not including solid waste, that budget actually decreased by about $300,000. So our FY27 budget overall is up 4.9% over FY26, but it's actually only up 4.4% from FY25. So it's essentially a 2.2% year over year increase the last 2 years. And of course, the cost of living adjustments for payroll expenses were a significant portion of that overall increase. For FY27, we identified some key areas where we felt it was important for us to increase line items, some being kind of restored to or just above the FY27 budgeted amounts. I know EIR stands for expense increase request, but of course, some of these aren't true requests because they're kind of non-negotiable, such as utilities, electricity for town buildings and streetlights, sewer user fees. There's a new sewer rate structure that impacted some of public facilities that we pay for, telephones and other contractual obligations, such as custodial contracts for town offices and public restroom cleaning, landscaping contracts for playing fields, grounds, and employee housing units, and the annual 2.5% increase to the mosquito control budget per our town bylaws. We also seek to increase our budget related to gravel road maintenance, which would allow us to slightly, which would afford us slightly more budget to purchase gravel and stone, which is delivered to the DPW from New Bedford, and utilize our on-call road grading contract even more than we currently do. That's obviously all in an effort to further improve our 10.6 miles of public gravel roads. Lastly, but first on this list is a request, a recurring payroll budget increase to fund the hiring of 2 additional laborers for our facilities team who take care of dozens of individual buildings, facilities, our town concessions at Jetties, Children's, and Surfside Beach, town-owned employee housing units, as Christy mentioned earlier, streetlights, and obviously a variety of other responsibilities. Our current workforce of 7, which includes our deputy director of facilities, is simply just not enough manpower to effectively maintain all the town's facilities and handle the scope of work, which continues to expand as we bring online more housing units and our other municipal buildings continue to age. I think that covers all of the EIRs, unless, Stephen, is there anything below streetlights?
No, that's just a capital.
Yeah, but show everyone the list because, he always has a lot and we should see that. No offense, Drew, I'm just.
No, we do. We have
I know.
we have 6 departmental divisions. So we have administration, operations, a lot of communities call it a highway department, facilities, parks and rec, central fleet, and then of course solid waste, which Chris Lowe is going to take you guys through after we're done here on all things DPW general.
All right, Anthony, do you have a question?
Madam Chair, I got Drew, quick one on those 2 laborers. That's about 72, let's say 70 grand a piece, and it doesn't include health insurance. You let me know why it doesn't include health insurance? Because that typically runs about an extra 28% if I look at the averages on the island.
I don't know why it's displayed that way. I assume that the 141,392 is based on the hourly rate for an M2 laborer under the AFSCME union contract. we are in the middle of union negotiations, so I think that that might be a conservative estimate as far as the salary for those positions for next fiscal year, which is kind of yet to be
Madam
determined.
Chair, health insurance not included is on most of these budgets.
Yeah.
All of the ones I was involved in.
Is Brian still on or is he not?
Through you, Madam Chair.
Yeah, Brian.
Health insurance, it's noted in here on all of these that it's not included because this is only cost in the DPW budget, and health insurance is aggregated in one budget. Which I think there was the chart in the finance department story for the health insurance. So health insurance is not paid through the individual departments themselves. It's paid through one line item operationally. So that's why there's a footnote here that it's not included here because this is only what goes in the individual operating budgets.
All right, so we'd see it on the other side in the town. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Jill, I had a quick question.
Here we go for it.
Drew, I just on mosquitoes. I see a year ago we were spending 100,000. Now it's up close to 200,000. Not much difference from the last fiscal year. What are we doing anything different?
No, I forget what annual town meeting it was voted in. But the budgeted amount for the mosquito control budget automatically escalates by 2.5% every year. But you can see the actual spending was 122 in 23, 127 in 2024, and 104 in 2025. But the budgeted amount automatically increases even if we're not spending the full amount of that. And I believe the only way to change that would be to do so through town meeting.
And are we deploying a lot of insecticides to deal with this?
So I wouldn't necessarily say insecticides. There's natural ways that our vendor treats our wetlands and salt marshes, etc. Also included in the contract is testing, which I've worked with Roki and Jericho at Health and Human Services to make sure is included in the contract. So they do monitoring as well, and then they sample and test the mosquitoes for Tripoli, West Nile virus, and other viruses of concern.
Thanks.
Town manager, did you want to make a comment about that?
I just wanted to note that the original appropriation for mosquito control came from an override, which is why it increases 2.5% per year. We don't actually have to, by law, dedicate that amount to mosquito control, but we do because it's very important, and we need a dedicated funding source for it. So if there's a little over 2.5% that we don't think we're going to spend, we could spend it on something else, but we typically do not because we want to keep a focus on mosquito control.
Joe, thank you.
Drew, do you want to talk through what your plans for the new facility?
Well, wait a minute. No, I don't want to talk through that because,
Okay.
sorry, not at this meeting. But, I mean, he doesn't have an approved new facility. He doesn't have
No,
that's something
I
that,
just was curious, there's a very different amount this year than last year.
yes. I mean, Drew, you can elaborate on that. You can talk about the work group that you and the town manager put together, and if you want to tell Joe about that.
Yeah, I would actually just say, just a point of clarification, the amount we're seeking for supplemental design funding has not changed over the last 2 years. But yeah, we're still working on it. We have put together a new DPW facility work group, of which Jill is a member, and a number of other community members to seek input and hopefully come to a consensus on the right path forward so that we're aiming to construct a facility that is appropriate for the island community. And that's kind of where we're at. We haven't, I wouldn't say we've made a ton of progress, but we're certainly getting there and still working on it.
I think you're gonna make a lot of progress, Joe. I do.
Just saying, recently we're regrouping and we're pushing forward.
Yeah, it is a dynamic group. for sure. But it's a challenging task. It is.
Were anti-people put on the committee?
I wouldn't say anybody's anti, I just think people have different
I
ideas
thought
about.
most of the county, I thought DeCosta was on the committee.
Yes.
You, Bobby's on, Brooke Moore is on, Joe Grouse is on, who you all know as well. Mr. Little, Robert Little, is that his name, Drew? Right?
Yep.
Mr.
Yep,
Little?
Bob Little and Tim Brain, who's on Conservation Commission, and Crack.
Yeah. It's been good. I think I feel like we're having some very real honest conversations about what
Absolutely.
you need and how you see the future and
It's interesting to go out and see the Toscana facility.
yeah,
Um,
to compare it. Yeah.
and Drew has a picture of a machine that the airport has that's exactly like one that he has. And the airport's is in better shape because it lives inside, right?
That's correct. The side by side is definitely.
Well, that's for discussion at our committee, to be honest with you. Not everybody thinks that's
Joe.
exactly
I
what.
both
They also
thought,
don't use it as much.
thought there should be videos of some of that equipment shown at town meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty shocking.
They're very different departments. We could talk about that another time.
Yeah.
I don't think we should talk about it today. So. But we can at some time if you want to. Great. All right, Drew,
Anything
is that
else?
it? You had a ton of capital, a ton.
Always do. And yeah, we're very busy. Glad you guys were able to put this on my schedule this week. I didn't have a lot going on. So
I
Thank you
know,
for
not
making
at
time
all.
for us.
Well, the parking lot at the trailer is very clean, so thank you.
excellent. Good.
We could all park.
There's a
Make sure
lot
you
of
guys are
snow
safe.
at Jetty's Beach too.
Appreciate it. Okay,
Thank
any
you.
other questions? Anybody? Okay. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it. Next up is it Chris Long? Yeah, Chris Long is on. Hi, Chris.
Hello,
How are you?
good and yourself.
Good.
So I wasn't sure what to expect today, to tell you the truth. And I'm going to ask Drew to hang in there just in case he wants to chime in to give me some assistance. But yeah, so we didn't have any positions for fiscal year 27, didn't request any. We had increases in the budget based on the new service agreement that we signed with Waste Options. And fiscal year 27 will be the first year of a full year of operating with the new waste service agreement and the 8 categories for services that they're going to provide for us and things. So, it was $1.8 million additional. Electricity, as Drew said, it's an ongoing utility that we really can't change. We are looking to try to look at the services that are the largest energy hogs that we have. And so we're looking to see if we can decrease the amount of electricity that we are using, especially within the composter, by taking a look at possibly diverting or removing some waste from the waste streams, which would require less electricity, less usage, as well as less material going into the landfill. We do an awful lot of advertising with many of the special programs that Solid Waste has, from the household hazardous waste events to collection of latex paint, many other advertising that we do. It is expensive, and we are talking internally to see what we can do to decrease or curb that spending.
Chris, if I may, I'll just hop in as far as the $1.8 million. It is partially attributed to the new waste service agreement. I don't want people to think that we're just paying Waste Options $1.8 million more than we used to. There are a couple of factors outside of the solid waste facility in Nantucket that impact that. One of which is the steamship freight charges for trucking, of which obviously we do a lot of trucking. So much of the solid waste that comes in goes off island for ultimate recycling and disposal. So that steamship increase was almost 10%. And then of course, tires, mattresses, non-recyclable and non-compostable waste, metal, other stuff goes off island to facilities where there's a market rate tipping fee or disposal cost as well. So a really big, a significant portion of the solid waste enterprise fund budget that in theory goes to waste options, really a pass-through cost to other vendors as well. And to Chris's point, we've spent a lot of time evaluating how much waste comes in, exactly how it's handled and ultimately disposed, and what it costs to put things in the landfill versus taking it off island, and what's best for the long term Nantucket community, this operation, etc. And then I was also going to add that one big thing that we've changed going into FY27 and beyond is we used to have two different organ objects. That one was kind of for recycling in the MRF, and the rest was for solid waste handling and disposal. And we consolidated the two of those, and we think it'll make for a much more transparent and easier to understand budget, especially for those that aren't intimately involved like Chris and I. And then the other big initiative we're working on is trying to we're reviewing tipping fees and trying to make sure that they are assessed in a way that is fair and equitable. And I'll just give you a small example. If it costs us $300 a ton to take metal from a contractor, if we're only charging $200 a ton, then the other $100 per ton would be coming from the general fund subsidy. And we want to ease that burden on the general fund contribution to the solid waste enterprise fund, and make sure that basically at the end of the day, whether it's a resident coming to the residential drop-off area on a weekend or a contractor bringing waste, if you're bringing us your waste, the goal is that you're paying for that waste accordingly. So although there's a $1.8 million increase in the budget, we're also open to be able to generate more revenue in a way that makes who's paying the question of who's paying for it more fair and equitable. So those are some of the big initiatives we're working on from a dollars and cents perspective as far as solid waste is concerned.
Okay. Any other questions for Drew and Chris? Thanks, Drew. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And last up, the airport. Last up for today is the airport. Do we have Warren or Preston on?
Warren is on.
Oh, great. Hi, Warren.
Hey, Madam Chair, how are you doing?
Good. I don't know if you've met the people in the committee before.
I met some.
You
Yeah,
met
it's
some.
great to see you guys. I'm Warren Smith, new airport manager here in Nantucket. It's my first time doing this as well, so bear with. But just to run down the items, we don't have any new positions requested for FY27. There actually are some EIRs that.
No, I'm
So
just kidding. I said gold star. I was just kidding.
We do actually have some EIRs that I don't think were listed here, so I can just briefly run through those. We added $60,000 in seasonal salaries to match the town's rates. We added $26,000 in electricity based on actuals and the fact that now we have a new dormitory that's being used. We did add $10,000 in new tools and equipment based on actuals for this current fiscal year. An additional $50,000 for the airport triennial drill. That is a required FAA emergency response drill that happens every 3 years. And then we also added $14,600 in other professional development for CDL certifications. For the capital items, as you can see on the list there, we have various vehicle and equipment upgrades as they're eligible for upgrade based on the Airport Security and Maintenance Program that's put forth by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. What that program does is it allows the DOT to pay for 80% of the vehicle and equipment costs, with only 20% required by the sponsor. We're also looking to do hard stand improvements that are requiring a supplemental ask, as the original appropriation that was set forth wasn't sufficient due to the JetBlue Airlines upgauging their aircraft size of their fleet last fall, and our current hard stands won't accommodate the increased size of that aircraft. We have continued required environmental monitoring that the FAA requires to be completed for 4 years after any airfield project is to be completed. That, of course, is FAA grant funded. And some basic stormwater improvements on Bunker Road due to large flooding that we get after big deluges. Our maintenance staff do a good job of trying to clean out those stormwater drains. However, sometimes some of these deluges just don't keep up. And so we're looking to maybe include some better leach tanks and do some basic grading on Bunker Road just to have some better stormwater improvement. And then also just the seasonal terminal tent upkeep as we're waiting for this terminal renovation project to hopefully happen, and just gives us a little bit of leeway with this tent for one more summer. Hopefully to get rid of this tent here in the near future would be great. And then just basic IT associated costs and equipment upgrades. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Warren.
Yeah, thank
Does
you.
anyone have any questions for Warren?
I have one, Jill.
Jeremy, please.
I lost my ability to hit the raise the hand.
It's okay. We know your voice.
Warren, we did chat with you, I guess, last week about the revolver. We talked about that. I had two questions. When you present your capital numbers, just if you could possibly in the future put the gross amount and then what the net amount, because a lot of them have grants associated with them. It's just, it's a good way for the town and all of us to look at it, because we're really being asked to fund the net difference.
Okay.
And then I was just curious, do we have enough air traffic controllers these days?
I would say so, especially here at Nantucket. Nantucket actually is a really good training facility for a lot of the new air traffic controllers that come out of Oklahoma City. But here on the island, not an issue. I would say nationwide, could there be? It's possible. That's more FAA associated than airport related. There are retirement age restrictions, certain ages where air traffic controllers must, retire. There are also age limits of when you can actually enter into the program. You have to be no older than 32 years of age. If you're older than that, they won't take you into the program. They want you kind of young and fresh, and to put in forth that time and effort. So could there be more? Yeah, I believe so. Here at Nantucket, though, I think we're pretty well staffed.
Okay, great. And just last one, I was curious, the status of planning for if you're ever going to change the terminal, expand it, because every now and then I hear about that.
There's no expansion happening. The intent is to repurpose the space inside the walls of the existing building. There's a lot of underutilized space, and the intent would be to kind of maybe move some walls around to accommodate the hold room and increase the capacity. But at the same time, the most important thing is get rid of that tent that's on the ramp. We'd like to get our ramp space back. It's a safety issue, of course. All things considered. And so, yeah, we'll keep you apprised. We're meeting this coming airport commission meeting next week to talk a little bit more about that and hopefully get this one rolling.
Thanks so much.
I heard,
Joe Wright.
this is Joe. I heard that there was a less likelihood of the new runway being required. Is that true?
The new runway it's not a new runway. It's just a runway shift. Really, the issue with the runway is that, we're having a lot of coastal resiliency issues with coastal erosion happening, and the need to get that runway safety area into a more comfortable space through shifting the runway on its axis by about 460 feet. The challenges that we are finding with that project is funding, of course. So we're just trying to get real creative of how do we approach this? How can we seek that type of funding for such a big ask of a project?
It's 100-ish, isn't it?
Initial estimates are showing about $100 million to shift the runway. Yep.
And the FAA is not gonna pay for it?
Yeah, they are.
The FAA is interesting. They do have some various programs that could allow for certain funding of the runway shift. Unfortunately, they're not wanting to pay for the whole total overall cost. But we're trying to get creative with various means and various resiliency grants to see if there's a better approach to fund such a large scale project. The FAA has traditionally never funded such a large scale project of an airport of our size. Our airport is considered non-hub, non-primary. They do, of course, large scale projects at primary hub airports, your Boston Logans, your Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson's airports. But with an airport of our size, that's never been done. So we're trying to get creative to see what they could do. As we are an island and we do have erosion and climate issues that are creating problems for us and will continue to create problems for us. So they definitely have eyes on us and trying to see what they can do to help us.
So we're the second busiest airport in the state, yeah?
We are. Yeah, add that to that. We are the second busiest airport actually in New England, not just the state.
I thought that they were going to be paying for a lot of this, Warren. The FAA. We just don't know.
We just don't really know. It depends on who you're talking to at the various departments. So we're trying to pin it down.
Okay. Good question, Joe. Are there any other questions? Anybody? All right, Warren, you're off the hook.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. All right. I think we got us done in under the 2 hours.
That's good work. They work, that's right.
And does anybody have anything that they want to talk related to the budgets? Or, I mean, we have the town manager here. I know Brian's a little under the weather.
I'd like follow. I wrote to you about this. I would like to suggest that Brian come and talk to us about town finances, particularly in the view of the article in the Nantucket Current. I'm not asking any suspicious questions here. I think the explanation of that and extension of that would be very helpful for all of us, and I think for others too. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
I found that article. I didn't. The answer was pretty much everywhere.
Right. Well, let's have him come and talk to us about that when he's feeling a little better. Yeah. And are there any committee reports? Joanna's not here. Any other business? I don't have any. Oh, at least on committee reports, like I said, the capital committee will be coming back soon. Or we're getting there. Our next meeting is Monday, 2 o'clock, same format, and we're gonna go through these last budgets, and I appreciate you all keeping it speedy, and I appreciate all the town staff getting on. Can I get a motion to adjourn? For a second?
Second.
Rob?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Anthony?
Aye.
Jeremy?
Hi.
And Jill's and I. Thanks, everybody. See you Monday.
So